Welcome to Adrienne Ross Squared, squaring off from A to Z. We're going to talk about culture right now. Now, the main channel, the Adrienne Ross Show, is where sports and culture connect, but that's not the only place we talk about culture, just like that's not the only place we talk about sports. Sometimes it all just overlaps. And today I'm going to talk about the Indiana Fever assistant coach, Austin Kelly, and his stepping in for Stephanie White on Saturday when the Indiana Fever took on and defeated the Chicago Sky in Chicago. Stephanie White was out for personal reasons, and the team doesn't just sit there and twiddle its thumbs. Somebody has to step up. Austin Kelly did that. I covered that on the main channel on Sunday night. Now, over on this channel, I want to get a little bit deeper into why I was impressed with him beyond the X's and the O's. Obviously, he did a good job of executing the game plan. Obviously, he works very closely with Stephanie White. The whole coaching staff, from what we're told, are very connected, are on the same page. Anybody can step up at any time. And he certainly did. So he executed there. He got everybody who was available into the game. And the team ended up beating the Chicago Sky by 27 points. And although the team has some things to shore up for sure, and they always will, because that's the way these things work, we definitely saw some improvement, and you gotta show love to Austin Kelly. And the team did, as they dumped all kinds of water all over the man after the game. Not just talking about that. I'm not going to talk all about that all over again, the whole thing about the game. That's not why I'm over here on Adrienne Ross Square talking about Austin Kelly. I'm talking about the way he presented himself. Yes, his attire, the way he was dressed. And some people would say, what difference does that make? How this gentleman showing up to fill in for the head coach, what difference does it make how he's dressed? Do you remember? Some of you who are young, you may not remember, but the rest of us, I'm sure you remember when people would dress a certain way when they were going a certain place. When they went to graduations, they looked a certain way. When they went to church, they looked a certain way. I mean, way back in the day, before my time, they would go to the ballpark and they're wearing suits and all that. I'm not advocating for that, but I am saying that I feel like we've lost something in terms of how we present ourselves. Austin Kelly, at a time when college basketball coaches and more so professional basketball coaches no longer dress like they're the professionals, the higher up professionals. I mean, not the athletes. They obviously are coming in athletic gear, at least on the court. We'll get to that in another video on the main channel. But on the court, they're dressed with their sneakers, they're dressed, with their jerseys and their shorts and all those things. The coaches used to dress like they were the leadership. They dressed in the suits. I think that changed around the time of COVID, when nobody was showing up at the arenas, when nobody could come and they had these cutouts or whatever they used. And that kind of changed because there wasn't anyone there watching, I guess. But I miss the times when people dressed a certain way, even when they were coaching a sporting event, even when they were coaching basketball. I know for football, it's always been different, but basketball has a culture of its own. And there's something about how you're dressed that can impact how you are received and how you present yourself. And here's a man who is being trusted to step in to lead this team. And do you remember back in the day, I don't know if it exists anymore, but back in the day when people would talk about job interviews, they would say, dress not for the job you have, but for the job you want. And people are talking about Austin Kelly and how he looked. I saw something on Twitter. It was like, he looks good. People in the comments on my video over on the main channel said, and look at the suit he was wearing. It catches people's attention. Again, you're dressing not for where you are, but for where you want to go. And I've got to believe a man like this probably has aspirations to coach himself, whether that's college, whether that's professionally, but he made a statement without saying a word. Before he said a word, he made a statement when he walked up. It showed, I feel, respect to the organization, to the franchise, the Indiana Fever, respect to the WNBA, that I take this role seriously, respect to Stephanie White, even though she's not, she looks nice when she's out there. She's known for her leather jackets, right? She's not necessarily wearing a Pat Summit suit, but she's looking good when she's out there. But he was looking top notch. It showed respect that I value this moment in time. I value this opportunity to represent you, to represent the franchise, and really to represent the WNBA. It's not a do or die situation. It's not like if he had come out there in shorts and sneakers he couldn't have done the job. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that I think it speaks well of him as a man and one who is honored to be in that position. He has said he owes everything to Coach Stephanie White, and he comported himself in that manner. Even when he wasn't dressed for the game, even before the game, in the pregame, the way he presented himself, in the pregame interviews, the way he presented himself, I feel like Stephanie White would say, that's somebody I don't mind handing the reins over to when I have to be away for personal reasons. I got somebody who's not going to embarrass the team. I've got somebody who honors the team, even in the way he dresses, even in the way he speaks. So, stepping aside from the dress right now, from the attire, I do want to show this portion of the pregame stuff, the interviews. It was after the shoot around, and just how he articulated the goals of the game and the situation that they were in, and he just did such a great job. And then when he put the suit on later, you're like, oh my goodness, put those two things together, and I have even greater respect for Coach Kelly. Let's take a look at that pregame interview after the shoot around. This is Erica 455 on X.
Obviously, you guys have been dealing with some injury adversity, different group this time than in the first game of the season. What have you learned maybe from this group as they've gone through that process?
I think it's just our growth. I can speak specifically about Aaliyah and, kind of her efficiency and her ability to do a lot of different things for us. She's an excellent playmaker. She makes great decisions with the basketball in her hands. She can score from multiple areas on the floor. And so seeing her growth, seeing her take ownership of that, seeing Kelsey grow in her playmaking off the bounce has been really good. And then seeing our team, as a whole just step up. It's just kind of next man mentality, Ari getting here, off the road, as a hardship player and stepping right into that role playing 27 minutes. It's really special. And so that's just kind of been our mentality. It's next person up, ready to go. And, I think that the players have a lot of trust in each other. That's how it is sometimes. You got to fight through the battles, fight through the adversity.
I'm big on communication. I'm big on being able to articulate what you have to say in such a way that's not confusing. It's not gobbledygook. It's, what you're talking about. People know what you're talking about because of the way you can communicate. And he did a really good job just standing there, just so relaxed, so chill, knowing the players, knowing that, yep, this is what Aaliyah brings. This is what Ari has brought. This is what Kelsey has brought. And it was like they didn't miss a beat. With Stephanie White, unfortunately, having to be out, they didn't miss a beat. This was before the game, of course. And then he talked in some pregame, it might have been the same one. He talked about, hey, I'm not doing anything different. It's what we have been doing. We've been establishing. So that part is excellent too, because that's a part of the presentation as well. And then he comes to the game and looks like, I'm here for business. We're here for a win. I'm here to represent this organization well. And I think he did that. Like I said, for some people, it's like, what difference does it make? But I'm a person, I watched Coach Pat Summit and saw how she dressed, and I used to model myself after her with the suits and all that as much as I could, because I just think it has a certain something that adds to how people perceive you and how you represent yourself. Dress for the job you want. So I'm talking about sports, but some of you on here are not into sports. So carry that over to what you are into. Not everything calls for being all dressed up, right? I got on my hat, and my t-shirt. God bless you abundantly, Adrienne Marshall. Right. But I have all that. But dress when it's appropriate in a way that it's appropriate. And I feel like he did that. And I just feel like he just made the team look even better. And this is a franchise that does things top notch. That's why people get surprised when things are kind of off a little bit and they veer out of the presentation that they have, being about business, being about basketball, being about people as well. The fans love this team because this team is different. I really believe the Indiana Fever is special. Again, whether you're talking about, as I think I might have mentioned recently on the other channel, but anyway, whether you're talking about Kelly Krauskopf or you're talking about Amber Cox or you're talking about Stephanie White or you're talking about Austin Kelly, or if you're talking about Aaliyah Boston, if you're talking about Caitlin Clark, if you're talking about Kelsey Mitchell, do you notice how this team presents itself or these individuals present themselves? And Austin Kelly did not drop the ball, excuse the pun, but he dressed for the occasion, the basketball game. But you're not a player, you're a coach, and you're a coach who's being trusted. So I want to say, if you're a young person and you're watching, remember that when you go to interviews, when you're representing your family even, present yourself. You might not always be wearing a suit and a tie, but present yourself in a way that says, I'm here, I recognize the moment, I'm meant to be here, and I'm going to do it justice. So that stood out to me. And it's not just me. I saw other comments with people who talked about what he looked like. And then after the game, he showed up in a t-shirt and stuff at the podium. But he showed up in a t-shirt because his team was so celebratory, not because, oh my goodness, I can't believe we beat the Sky. No, but because they were celebrating him, as I talked about on the main channel last night. They were celebrating him and that he got his first head coach win, his first acting head coach win, and they were so excited for him. They just wet him. He was soaked. And so he came and he had on the Indiana Fever t-shirt. But I like this guy, and I think there are good things in store. But beyond basketball, of course, wherever you are, whatever the situation is, I know the culture has changed, but there's some things we should try to hold on to as best we can. And sometimes it is how you present yourself, which does have to do with your attire. So those are my thoughts here on Adrienne Ross Square, where, as you can tell, we square off from A to Z. Listen, hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed. Not everything on the channel might be your cup of tea. You're not going to agree with everything I say. I'm fine with that. You can also skip the stuff that doesn't quite hit you just right, but I'm hoping there'll be plenty of things that you want to check out. So thumbs up this video if you would, as well as subscribing to the channel. And also, if you're not subscribed, over to the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe there as well. Turn your notifications on for both channels, and I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.